Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Welcome, dear learners. You are watching a video of the subject of education, course of Bachelor's of Education, and the paper is Child Development and Learning. This is the module on dimensions of learning, and this particular lecture is based on Bloom's taxonomy of thinking skills. The video is presented by Dr. Iram Khan. The course coordinator and the subject matter expert of this video is Dr. Iram Khan from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. The academic expert or reviewer of this video is Professor Jasim Ahmed from Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. This video is produced under the project DTH Swayam Prabha channels of MHRD, New Delhi. Hello dear learners. Today we are going to have a discussion on dimensions of learning, and the topic of discussion today is Bloom's taxonomy of thinking skills. I am Dr. Iram Khan, Assistant Professor at IASC, Faculty of Education, Jamia Millia Islamia, New Delhi. So let us start our discussion with the short introduction of Benjamin Bloom. So Benjamin Bloom was an American educational psychologist who was born in 1913, and in 1956 he proposed the classification of educational objectives, which is popularly known as Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives. So today's discussion is totally going to base on Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives. So whenever we are talking about Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives, we have to understand that this is basically a classification of different objectives, skills and abilities that a teacher or a teacher educator or a curriculum developer or maybe one of the educational administrators actually set for students as learning objectives. So basically this is the classification which all these people set for students as learning objectives. So when this classification is studied and analyzed, a person can find that in all the subjects, whether it is academic or technical, it actually fits properly. So now let us discuss the domains of educational objectives. So Benjamin Bloom divided educational objectives into three domains. These are the cognitive domain, the affective domain, and the psychomotor domain. What exactly they mean? The first one, which is cognitive domain, is basically related to the mental development. So this basically develops the mental aspects of personality. That is the cognitive or intellectual abilities, or all those activities which are related to the mind are covered in this domain. Then we have got the second domain, which is affective domain, which develops emotional, spiritual and moral aspects of our personality. All these things are related to the heart. Then the third domain, which is psychomotor domain, it actually develops the skill aspects of the personality of a person, which is actually related, all these skill aspects are related to the movement of the body parts. And whenever we manipulate our motor skills, we actually work on our skill development. So this is psychomotor domain. So all the three domains are basically interlinked. They influence one another, but no specific domain develops in any type of hierarchy. So the three domains constitute the whole personality of an individual. So if in a person all the three domains of a subject or area of study get developed, this person is said to have a good personality. But suppose in a person any one domain does not get developed properly, then the person does not have it. This so-called personality of this person is not properly developed if any of the domains are not properly developed. So these three domains have their own taxonomy. So in all taxonomies, the level of expertise or abilities are arranged in order to increase the complexity, or basically the levels of expertise are arranged in order to increasing complexity. So when student outcomes are analyzed and the result is in case the higher levels of expertise are needed, this is the result which is coming after the analysis is done, then it means that more effective teaching and sophisticated classroom techniques are required. So in this way we can actually work on the all these three domains. So now let us see uh, what exactly the cognitive domain, which is given by Bloom, means. So Bloom's taxonomy of thinking skills or cognitive objectives we are going to discuss now. So basically an attempt was made to classify all the three domains by Benjamin Bloom. In 1956, the classification of cognitive domain was completed, and this is generally known as the Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive domain. This domain includes objectives of teaching and learning, which is related to mental exercise and intellectual abilities, which deal with thinking or knowing and basically the problem solving abilities. So it develops our cognitive abilities, factual knowledge, conceptual understanding, and higher order thinking skills. So it covers whole of the mental abilities and operations. So later the taxonomies of other two domains were also developed, but cognitive taxonomy or taxonomy of cognitive domain has knowledge-based goals, which we are going to emphasize here in this lecture. So the cognitive domain contains 6 major categories arranged in an hierarchical order. So based on the complexity of tasks or operations. So these are arranged from simple to complex and concrete to abstract behavior. So now let us see what exactly these 6 major categories are. So you can see here that we are going to discuss the levels of Bloom's taxonomy of thinking skills or cognitive domains. And on the screen you can see all the 6 levels which are given by Benjamin Bloom in order to discuss the cognitive domain. So the first level of the cognitive domain is knowledge. Then we have got comprehension. Then there is application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. And you can see that if we prepare a cone kind of thing, you can see that at the base of the cone knowledge is there, and then the comprehension level, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. We are going to have a discussion in detail regarding all these different levels. So now let us discuss the different levels of the cognitive domain. So here the first level is knowledge level. It is the first and the lowest level of cognitive domain. Knowledge represents memory and constitutes recall and recognition of various facts, concepts, principles, theories, and laws of different subjects. So no addition or deletion is done by the learners in this category. Basically, there is a simple kind of recall process or recognition of the information which is done here in this knowledge level. For example, if a student is giving an answer of the question, what is the capital of India? So the student is going to answer New Delhi, which is based on the recall or recognition. Basically, recall based question is answered with a very simple way, and this crammed or memorized answer is given. Now let us see what is the next level, which is comprehension. Comprehension level is the second level of cognitive domain, and it develops only after the development of knowledge in any particular area of study. So the individual is expected to go beyond the level of recall and recognition in this level. So after having developed the level of comprehension on any content area, the individual becomes capable of doing few of the major tasks. So what are those tasks which this person can do once the things are comprehended? Basically, the person can translate, summarize, or define the acquired knowledge in his or her own words. Then the person can interpret the acquired information or knowledge on his own or her own and give examples. So through interpretation, this person must be able to discriminate between two or many objects, classify various objects into groups based on some criteria, verify and generalize facts and concepts. Then the next thing which this person can do is to extrapolate. What exactly extrapolate means? It means that the individual relates two or more events, concepts or phenomena, and in this way describes and explains the events. So for example, after developing the comprehension of just take an example of a flower. So this person if the person has comprehended what exactly this flower is, the individual not only recalls and recognizes a flower but can also describe the structure of a simple flower. So this person is now able to define flower and describe its structures in his or her own language. The individual can also explain why a flower has different colors or flowers are found in different colors, and this person can relate this particular flower with the different parts of the plant. So this can be done once the person has comprehended the flower as a part of this plant. Now let us see the third level of cognitive domain. This level is known as application level. So after having developed knowledge and comprehension of any concept, the individual is able to apply them in his or her daily life. Application of any concept, principle, theory, or law is impossible without its knowledge and comprehension. So for coming to the third level of cognitive domain, we have to achieve the first and second level, which is knowledge level and the comprehension level. So in this way, the third taxonomic level of cognitive domain can be covered. So by applying the acquired knowledge and comprehension of various content, the individual can solve many problems of day-to-day life of concrete and abstract situations. Let us take an example to understand it more properly. So if an individual knows and understands the ill effects of oily food, and this person will if we know if this person is knowing all those bad effects, then this person will apply this into his or her daily life or daily food habits and avoid taking fatty or oily diet. So a child is given various parts of a plant. This is the second example that we are giving a child various parts of a plant, for example, leaves, roots, stem, and we ask them to separate stem from other parts. So if the child knows and understands the characteristics of a stem, this child will apply all those information, all those comprehension which are already there, and then on the basis of all those comprehensions, this child will separate the stems from other parts of the plant. So these are few of the examples which we can give once we are discussing this next level, which is application level. Now we come to the fourth level, which is analysis. What exactly analysis is? So this is the next higher level of cognitive ability. So the individual develops the potential to break the whole into its various components or constituents and detect the relationship and organization of various parts. So basically this person is analyzing. Similarly, the students develop the ability to break a theory into its various inherent facts and then concepts and principles. So in this way, the student actually makes an analysis. For example, suppose a child has developed knowledge and understanding of the structure of a flower and is able to now apply this knowledge and understand. Then and now after this understanding is developed, this child has been provided with a flower and its physical form are told to break into its various parts. So basically we have given a flower to this child, and we have asked that please break all the parts of this flower into different components. So this child will start working and separating all parts and making sets of calyx, or basically sepals, or then the corolla, or we can say petals, then the androecium and gynoecium. So this ability is called the ability of analysis. So in this way, an individual can analyze a thing if this person has the knowledge and understanding of what exactly this particular thing and uh, is actually having, or what exactly is the meaning of this particular thing. So once the meaning is understood by this child, then the potential of applying this particular knowledge which is gained earlier for making an analysis, for making different sets of separating the sets of information, is actually the analysis. So when analyzing, we mainly perform three tasks. What we do? We do the analysis of elements, constituents, or parts of the whole. Then what we do next? We make an analysis of the relationship among various parts, and then we make an analysis of the organizational pattern of the constituents to make a whole. So in this way, we can say that by doing all these three tasks, we actually cover the analysis level of cognitive domain. So now let us come to the next level of cognitive domain, which is synthesis. So it is the process of putting together various elements or parts to make a whole. So it is a complex ability at higher level of cognition, which involves the creation of a new pattern or structure by manipulating various constituents. It has the elements of creativity uh, imbibed in it. So synthesis involves the development of a unique communication, a plan, procedure, or proposed set of operation, and a set of abstract relations. So all these things are basically involved when we are making a synthesis of something. So for example, a teacher teaches a class about the structure of human digestive system. What it actually is being taught? The human digestive system. So after completing the topic of human digestive system in the class, the teacher calls few of the students and gives them various flashcards showing different parts of human digestive system. Then the teacher tells them to develop the whole digestive system by using these flashcards on the board, on the blackboard or on the whiteboard. The students start working and arrange all components in a specific way to develop the digestive system. So the ability which is basically developed here is the ability of synthesis. So basically the students arrange all the flashcards into some sort of organized way in which they can represent the human digestive system. So once they do it correctly, we can say that the ability of synthesis is developed. So in this way, we can discuss the ability of synthesis. Now let us discuss the next level, or the last level of the Bloom's taxonomy's cognitive domain. Basically, the last level is evaluation. What exactly evaluation means? Basically, it's a process of judging the worth or value of a thing. So the thing may be an ideal, an object, or a process, um, or a procedure, or a product. So it includes facts, concepts. If we are talking about science, then facts, concepts, principles, theories, and laws of science, or in case of different subjects, whatever is the product of that particular subject, we can say that all these are the products of that particular subject. So evaluation is the highest and most complex cognitive ability, which involves all the five abilities discussed earlier, like all those levels. The first level, which is knowledge, then the comprehension, then the analysis, then the synthesis. All these earlier discussed levels are actually covered whenever we are coming to this last level, which is evaluation. So it is both quantitative and a qualitative process. So evaluation develops decision making ability in the person who is making the evaluation, and it involves judgment in terms of internal and external criteria. So for example, let's take one example to understand it much more properly. So let's take a group of students who are performing an experiment to prove that oxygen is produced once the process of photosynthesis is over. So to evaluate the whole experiment, the evaluator must be well acquainted or well understand the with the different levels of knowledge and understanding the process of photosynthesis. This person also be well versed with the procedure, the setup, and the organization of this experiment. The evaluator will also have to observe how the group plans the experiment, conduct the experiment, and cooperates amongst themselves. So on the basis of all these criteria, the evaluator, or here let's take the teacher is the evaluator. So the teacher will make the decision and give grades or marks on the basis of the experiment which is done by the students in order to estimate the that oxygen is produced once the photosynthesis process is being done. So this entire process where the teacher is actually making an observation and actually judging the students, the process uh, is basically graded, and this is called as the process of evaluation. So dear students, we have seen the Bloom's taxonomy of thinking skills. Now we are going to see the revised Bloom's taxonomy of thinking skills. In 2001, Bloom's taxonomy was revised by one of the students of Benjamin Bloom, Lauren Anderson, and co-workers. So they developed this revised version, and it was published, which was titled as A Taxonomy for Learning, Teaching and Assessing. So we have seen that in the original cognitive domains taxonomy uh, of Benjamin Bloom, there were 6 categories named as knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, and synthesis, and evaluation. If we start taking the names from the lowest level to the highest level. But once we see the revised taxonomy of cognitive domain, basically we can see that if we take the names from the lower order thinking skills towards the higher order thinking skills, they were renamed as remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So creating was at the apex, or at the most higher order, or the higher order thinking skill, which was given in this revised taxonomy of cognitive domain. Creating was at the apex. Now let us discuss all these things in detail. Basically, if we make a comparison between the Bloom's taxonomy and its revised version, what we can observe, we will just make a kind of comparison, and you can here see on the screen also that there are 2 cones which are showing the Bloom's taxonomy in one of the cone, and the second cone is actually showing the 21st century Bloom's taxonomy, or the revised Bloom's taxonomy. So basically it can be observed that the names of the original 6 categories are in the form of noun in the uh, in the original one, which have been changed to verb in the revised one. So the logic behind this change is that the taxonomy reflects different forms of thinking, which is an active process. So verbs are more accurate. So this was the reason which was given. Then some subcategories were recognized and renamed. So knowledge is a product of thinking and was inappropriate to describe a category of thinking. So it was replaced with the word remembering. Knowledge is a product of lower and higher order thinking, and was not clarifying its level of category. So remembering is the right word, as it indicates the product of lower order thinking. So we can cram, recall, and remember something without understanding it. So rote memorization is basically the example here. So comprehension is replaced by understanding, and synthesis is basically replaced by creating in order to reflect the nature of thinking described by each category in a better way. So this is basically the comparison between the two. Uh, if we want to make a definition of different levels of the revised Bloom's taxonomy, we can just go in a kind of frequent manner. The first level in the revised Bloom's taxonomy is remembering, which actually shows or exhibits memory of previously learned material by recalling facts, terms, basic concepts and answers. So this is remembering. Then we have got the next level, which is understanding. Demonstrating or understanding of facts and ideas by organizing, comparing, translating, interpreting, giving descriptions and starting any new idea. This can be uh, understood whenever we are talking about understanding. Then we have got the next level, which is applying. So solving problems to new situations by applying acquired knowledge, facts, techniques and rules in a different way. This is basically uh, making an application of whatever we have gained in this particular level, which is applying. Then we have got analyzing. So examine and break information into parts by identifying motives or causes. So make inferences and find evidence to support generalizations is basically covered under analyzing. Then we have got evaluating. So present and defend opinions by making judgments about information, validity of ideas or quality of work based on a set of criteria is basically covered under evaluating. Then we have got the foremost, or we can say that the apex level, which is creating. So compiling information together in a different way by combining elements in a new pattern or proposing basically the alternative solutions. So in this level, we do all these things. So this is the apex level or creating. So this was the definitions of different levels in the revised Bloom's taxonomy. So now let us discuss the significance of Bloom's taxonomy. So basically the Bloom's taxonomy aims to motivate educators to focus on all the three domains to create a more holistic form of education which helps and grooms the personality of the learners in a very proper way. So this makes an individual more useful for his or her own, and then in result this person is going to become much more useful for the society and the nation. So the organization allows all the individuals to select appropriate classroom assessment techniques for student evaluation and for the cause to be basically making an evaluation. So understanding Bloom's taxonomy develops competencies in the teacher by which this teacher can design effective learning experiences, devise and organize fruitful and interesting curricular activities like all those co-curricular and extracurricular activities, and take care of all-round development of a child's personality. So in this way we can say that Bloom's taxonomy is very important to be understood by a teacher. If the teacher is willing to make the proper change, all-round development of the children whom this teacher is teaching. So in this way, we have come to an end of the Bloom's taxonomy of cognitive domains. We have discussed the Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives and its revised version. Basically, we have discussed the cognitive domain of Bloom's taxonomy. We have also seen that how the higher order and the lower order thinking skills are arranged in the two versions, the original one and the revised one of the taxonomy. We have discussed the cognitive domain of educational objectives and its components in detail. So the significance of Bloom's taxonomy of educational objectives was also discussed here, and I hope that all these points which are related to the dimensions of learning with respect to the taxonomy of educational objectives, much more emphasized was the cognitive domain, are now clear to you. And these are very much important if we are willing to become a teacher, and as a teacher we want to make a change in the life of children. So Bloom's taxonomy is very useful for all the prospective teachers and the upcoming teachers, or even the teachers who are already teaching and are in the domain of teaching. So with this, I would like to thank you all for the patient listening, and I will like to see you all in the next lecture. Thank you so much. So dear learners, you have watched a video on the dimensions of learning, and this lecture was based on Bloom's taxonomy of thinking skills. This video lecture was recorded by faculty at home during the national lockdown period for COVID-19 pandemic using minimal technical resources. Technical errors, if any, are unintentional and may please be ignored. For any queries with regard to this lecture or broadcast, kindly send your emails to techsupport@dth.ac.in. Thank you.